بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ما بعد. Tonight, inshallah, we're going to start section Salat al-Jama'ah, which is the congregational prayer. And if you had a PDF, it starts on page 317 in the middle of the page, or towards the bottom of the page on page 317. So the Salat al-Jama'ah, or people call it the Jama'at, or the congregational prayer. What's another word for congregation? Gathering. A gathering? Jama'ah. Another English word. A group, assembly of people, a group, so it's a group prayer. Sahih, right? The Jama'ah is a group prayer, right? So either the prayer is a prayer that a person is praying alone, or a person is praying a group prayer, a prayer in Jama'ah. Everybody clear? A group prayer. I'm just saying that just in case I don't say congregational. It holds the same meaning. Congregational, a group of people get together, they congregate, they get together, they gather up, and they pray. Those congregational Jama'ah. So this section is dealing with the different rulings connected to the Jama'ah, the congregational prayer. So the author, rahimahullah, first, he starts off with who the Jama'ah is obligatory on. And even though we don't usually use this book, I just want to use it just for a piece today so we can see how the wording of these books are written. So the author, rahimahullah, says, تلزموا الرجال للصلوات الخمس لا شرط وله فعلها في بيته. He says, number one, who is it obligatory on to pray? In the book it says it is incumbent upon the men. So if it's incumbent or obligatory on the men, who is it not obligatory on? Huh? The women. And who else? Huh? Children? That's not accurate, but who else?
Well, people under the age of puberty.
Jade. People under the age of puberty.
Or boys under the age of puberty.
Oh, now I was with you, but now why not the girls? What about the girls under the age of puberty? If you say the boys and you're saying the girls, who else? I'm only doing because the books are written like this intentionally.
Would it be the same people who any other salat is not obligatory for them? Like those who have lost their minds or something in that nature?
No, not them, because that's any prayer.
Right.
We're only talking about the Jama'ah, the congregational or the group prayer. For the people who have an excuse, Islamic excuse.
Those who are unable to get to do that.
That's an excuse. They fall under the excuse. Just a heads up, it's 6 categories. We have 4. Huh? We said the women already? Mm-hmm. We said the women. Children under the age of puberty. Tayyib. Those who have an excuse. And, huh? That's an excuse. That whole section of people is an excuse. I'm only doing this because so we can see when they write these short books like this, the wording is written like that intentionally. Tayyib. It says, number one, this excludes. This is not in the text. This is not this is in the explanation. He says, أخرج للمميزين. That means who is not included in the men are the mumayyiz, who we're talking about, the children that have not reached the age of puberty. Children that have not reached the age of puberty, right? If we just say children, children are in different categories. The women. The women is the second category. The slave. The slave. One is a slave, a full slave. And then there's some slaves who are partially free and partially slaves. Neither one of them. The fifth group, the group of people, and this is not one person, people who have an excuse. They have an Islamic excuse of not being able to make it to the congregation. And if I'm not mistaken, I looked at this earlier, but it looks different now. I think this is the hermaphrodite. Is how it's translated? That's how you say it? I might have messed that up. Hermaphrodite. Yeah, those 6 categories of people who, if it says the men, none of those people are included in that. None of those people, none of those categories are included. All of those categories are excluded from the hukam, from the rule of it being obligatory for them to pray the obligatory prayer. Now, that's just an example of how they usually exclude people with words. The hermaphrodite, the one who's born with a male private area and a female private area. They're born with 2. Not the one who adds, the one who gets surgery. The person who's born like that. I think it's hermaphrodite, if I'm saying it right. Hermaphrodite? Oh, I'm sorry. My bad, shit. The one that's born with 2. Tayyib. So he says it's on the men. Obligatory on the men. You know, which prayers we talking about? The 5 daily prayers. The 5 daily. What are we talking about in the first place? The group prayer, the Jama'ah. The Jama'ah is obligatory on who? Men. For which prayers? The 5 daily prayers. Tayyib. He says, La shart. But praying in the Jama'ah, praying in the congregation is not a condition for the prayer, for the salat to be valid. It's not a condition. Meaning what?
If you don't pray in congregation, it's still valid.
If you don't pray in congregation, the salat is still valid. But why even mention that?
To show the difference between what's better? No, or because it's, it's better. You get more ejr for the congregation to pray well. And then there are also hadith related to if you leave off the obligatory, the congregation.
We're talking about why even mention that praying in congregation is not a condition of the prayer.
Because some people may be under the impression that if you don't pray in congregation, you don't have a prayer.
Some scholars hold the opinion, not just us. Some ulama hold the opinion, not people. Some scholars hold the opinion that praying in the congregation is a condition for the prayer to be valid. Therefore, to those scholars who hold that opinion, if a person does not pray in the Jama'ah with the ability to do it, their prayer is invalid. The author is not of that opinion. So the author says, La shart, it's not a condition. We're not talking about if it's better or not. We ain't even get there yet because he was talking about if it was better, right? If we don't know, the Salat al-Jama'ah is better based on the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ anyway. That is better by how many times than praying by yourself? At the least, it's 25 times better to pray in a group, according to one hadith. And the other hadith says it's 27 times better. So bare minimum, praying in Jama'ah is 25 times better than making salat by yourself. It's 25 times better than just praying alone real quick, as we say. Tayyib. And on the high end is 27 times better than praying alone. Tayyib. He says, the author says, La shartun, it's not a condition for those who might say or hold that opinion. He says now, وَلَهُ فِعْلُهَا فِي بَيْتِهِ. and he is allowed to perform it in his home. What does that mean? He says, وَلَهُ فِعْلُهَا فِي بَيْتِهِ. He can pray, and we're saying he because the obligation is on the men, not the women, right? He can pray it in his home.
You can pray the congregation prayer at home, or just pray at home.
We only talking about the congregation.
Oh, okay. Meaning you can pray with your family, or pray with anybody in your house. Just pray at home.
Right? You got that option. Right? Say it again. You say it first.
You just pray at home with anybody, like a group of people at your
A
house.
group of people at your house.
He has the option to pray at home. The reward will be less, or whatever.
The reward will be less.
Yeah, if he at home, obviously, if he by himself.
Why?
If he home by himself.
No. He doesn't have the option to pray. He's going to pray regardless. Muslims going to pray anyway. We're talking about the congregational prayer, Jama'ah. He has the option to pray the Jama'ah at home.
Oh, okay.
Meaning?
Meaning that if he has a large enough group at home, he can pray the Salat to Jama'ah there.
Tayyib. Further.
He might not be close enough to get to a masjid.
He didn't say this, and that's a person that's an excuse. We're not talking about the excuse, people. It says he has the. It says right in the he can perform it at home. Walahu fi'luha in the house.
So, if I'm understanding correctly, the author is basically saying that the person he's describing, that male, can pray at home in the congregation with the people of his home and make the congregation salat.
Sahih, yes. Which means he's not praying where?
In the masjid.
Tayyib. Everybody clear?
Yeah. Because the Jama'ah is at home. He might have two boys at home, or his son and his wife.
All right, point.
Jama'ah, right?
Sahih. Point being, a lot of times we mix up, or we assume that all of the jama'ats are in the masjid. So we attach the jama'ah to only the masjid. That means we attach the 25 times or the 27 times in the hadith to the masjid. Everybody clear? The jama'ah is not necessarily restricted to a place. Follow.
I was talking with Sheikh. He was telling me he go to Jumu'ah at the youth study center.
Okay.
They have a Jumu'ah over here, so that would be the Jumu'ah.
Sahih. Yes. Now, everybody clear? This is the call of the author. Wa'anhu. And they also differ that it is obligatory to pray in the masjid. So some books you're going to read is going to say the obligation. This whole issue is obligatory to pray the Jama'ah in the masjid with the ability to do so. Everybody clear? You're going to pick up another book, and it's going to say it's obligatory to pray the Jama'ah prayer, the congregational prayer in the masjid. Some say no. The obligation is what? The Jama'ah, not necessarily in the masjid. And sometimes we just mix them. We assume if a person says Jama'ah, we assume it's in the masjid. Everybody clear? So the difference here is not necessarily on praying the Jama'ah. The difference here that we talking about is where. Does it have to be in the house? I'm saying, does it have to be in the masjid? Meaning obligatory have to be in the masjid. Meaning if you don't pray in the masjid, the Jama'ah with the ability is a sin. That's an opinion. And another opinion is no, it's not obligatory, but it is better to pray in the masjid. And the ulama different. We only going to just mention that for the fact that it says here he can pray it at home. And the scholars in that case differ. Of course, it is better to pray in the masjid, according to this opinion. Because if you use the other opinion, then it's not better. You have to. This is 317. That's 317. That last sentence. He can perform it in his home. And after that, it goes to 319. Further.
Sorry, Sheikh, I'm sorry. I missed the sixth point of you said that there were six categories.
6 categories.
Yes. So I got 5 of them, but I missed one.
Who you have,
I
let's
have
see.
women, those who have an Islamic excuse.
Mumayyiz.
Mumayyiz.
Mumayyiz is who?
Those who have not reached puberty yet.
But how old are they?
They're under the age of 7. Excuse me, 10. 10.
Under the age of 10?
Under the age of 10.
La. Under the age of 10? That's not accurate. The Mumayyiz.
Above 10, but not have
La. 10 is wrong. I'm going to say that
So
right
they-
now.
I guess they are those who show the signs of puberty, or they're over 15.
La.
No.
Know right from wrong.
They know right from wrong.
Ah.
What age is that, according to the hadith? 7. Tamyiz starts at 7. Tamyiz, knowing right from wrong, they say starts at 7. How we know they know right from wrong? The Prophet said, command them to pray at 7. Why 7? At that point, they're able to distinguish right from wrong. So Tamyiz starts at 7, the Mumayyiz. So anybody from 7 on up until puberty is the area that's called Tamyiz. They know right from wrong, Mumayyiz. Those people don't have to pray in Jama'ah, which are our children, until they reach puberty. Once they reach puberty, they're no longer in the stage of being Mumayyiz, where they can distinguish right from wrong. They move to another level. Tayyib.
And then
How many was that?
after that was 3.
Uh,
Then I had hermaphrodite, and the full slave.
the full slave, and then the slave that is partially free and partially a slave. That's a separate, yeah. Tayyib. The next issue here, he says, وَتُسْتَحَبُّ لِأَهْلِ الثَّغَرِ فِي مَسْجِدٍ وَاحِدٍ. So he says here, the people, he translated that as in a remote outpost.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Those guarding the borders.
Yeah, which is, what'd you say?
Those guarding the borders.
That's good. Or they could be actually fighting. They could be in war. They could be guarding the border, or they could be out in a war, right? Fighting, jihad. That they all pray at the same place. Yustahab. First of all, yustahab, recommended, means what? Preferable, sunnah, is better to, but it's not obligatory, not an obligation. Yustahab. Mustahab is the noun, yustahab is the verb. Yustahab. I'm sorry, it actually says tustahab, meaning for the jama'ah. Tustahab salat, for the salat. Ahl al-thagha fi masjid wahid. Tayyib. He says, and for those people who are not from the people necessarily guarding the borders, I like that though, that's good, guarding the borders, or even if they're fighting in a war, he says, well, afdal lighayrihim, for the people who are not in that situation, the general person every day, he says, number 1, it's better to pray fil masjid alladhi la tuqamu fihi al-jama'ah illa bi hudurihi. It's better to pray in a masjid where, this is the best masjid, the best place to pray for a man in the masjid is the masjid that if he doesn't go there to pray, they're not going to have a congregational prayer. Meaning the congregational prayer is attached to him being there. If he doesn't come there to pray, there is nobody else to lead the prayer. Is that clear? Or does that sound crazy? Let's just say, this might sound strange to us, mashallah. That's a mashallah. For us, that's ba'id, that's crazy, right? But there are places where there are people who don't know how to pray. There are places where most of the people, they may be new Muslims. They haven't perfected the prayer yet, right? They don't even know really what they're doing. So that person is pretty much heading up everything. That makes sense? It might be hard for us to even fathom that based on the ni'mah that we living in, but everybody is not in the same situation that we're in. So if the case comes down to where there will not be a jama'ah unless you show up, that person shows up, then he says, al-afdal, it's better that he goes there. That's the first place. Everybody clear? And here he mentions in order 4 masjids or 4 descriptions of different masjids in order of where it's better to pray at. Tayyib? You ready? Tayyib. That's at the bottom of 319. On 320, he says, after that, ثُمَّ مَا كَانَ أَكْثَرُ الْجَمَاعَةِ. After that, it's better to pray, he says, in the masjid that has the biggest jama'ah when you go there. Whatever masjid has the biggest jama'ah is better. Tayyib. That was number 2. So he says the first place is where? If you don't go, not we, you. The jama'ah is pretty much dependent on you showing up. Meaning if you don't show up, there is no congregational prayer at that masjid. Huh? Where? That's a khata. That's not what the Arabic says. That's what the translator, I know that's what the translator wrote. أفضل لغيرهم. Meaning, okay, it makes sense though, it makes sense. It makes sense. Meaning, it could be, we talking about, I'm only explaining this because of the way the sentence is worded. He says, for the men that are not guarding the borders, for those men, when they go back to their designated areas, wherever they're from, you're going to be there, he's going to be there, he's going to be there. Or it's better for them, you know what I'm saying? It's better for them to go to the place wherever you are. If there's a jama'ah connected to you showing up, it's better for you to go there, and it's better for him to go to the one that's waiting on him like that. You see what I'm saying? Because you figure there are already people there, but the jama'ah is really based on if you show up or not. Tayyib. Tayyib, that's the first. And the second one is, if that's not the case and that's not the worry, then the second best masjid to pray in is the masjid that has the biggest jama'ah, the biggest number of people. Tayyib. After that, he says, ثُمَّ الْمَسْجِدَ الْعَتِيقِ. The next best masjid to pray in is the oldest masjid. The oldest masjid. Why? On what? You on the right track. They've been establishing the congregation, which means they've been doing what longest?
They've been praying long.
They've been praying. They've been worshiping the Lord the longest in that area. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it could have been established, but it's other masjids that they've been worshiping in. Because sometimes this might sound like it's not for us, but you go to some places, their masjids built and they're left there empty, depending on where it's placed. Now, the masjid, as we say, we use this word established. The masjid is built as established. Nobody prays there based on the location on the way from Mecca to Medina. That long road, there'll be masjids out there. They've been there for long, but nobody even prays there like that. So, Tayyib. He says the fourth one, the fourth best masjid, he says, وَأَبْعَدُ أَوْلَى مِنْ أَقْرَبٍ. The masjid that is further away from you is better than the masjid that is closer. Why? More steps, more reward. At every step to get to the masjid is reward. So the further you go, the more reward you get. And some of the scholars have put the order a little different for them.
That leads me to a question. So, if I'm traveling and I'm driving,
That's different.
I know.
Oh, all right.
And I just wanted to know, have the scholars talked about that? Have they, made any kind of determination about that?
About what?
About whether or not, because you're not stepping, then you don't get the same amount of blessing, even though you're going to the furthest masjid.
If you're traveling?
If you're traveling. Because I know some brothers that do, they'll park a block from the masjid or a block and a half from the masjid. They drove about a mile or two, and then they'll park and walk another block or two just to get the steps.
You're traveling, right? That's what you said. You said traveling.
Well, you're not a musafir. You're not a musafir.
You said traveling. I don't know what you mean.
No. You're not a musafir.
You're not traveling.
You're not traveling. You're not a traveling.
Oh,
technically, no. Man, my shot.
Shake. You said, no, you said you traveling, so I'm just trying, if you traveling, then the Jama'ah's not obligatory on the traveler anyway, so.
But no, but it's, no, you're not a musafir.
Okay, so you're not traveling. Tayyib. So now what?
You're just dropping,
Okay.
all right? But you-
Either way, at some point, you have to get out and walk.
You have to get out and walk.
At some point.
Nah, so I'm just saying. But
I've heard fatwa about that before,
whether or not you
about the wheels turning and stuff. That was a long, I don't really know. I just remember it vaguely. I don't really remember even reading that. But Allah Alam. Allah Alam. Tayyib. I'm sorry, Father. You had a question? Tayyib, he says the next thing. He says, وَيَحْرُمُ أن يؤم في مسجد قبل إمامه الراتب إلا بإذنه أو أذره. He said it is haram to, and this happens a lot, believe it or not, haram for a masjid that has a designated imam. For the brothers who take brodies based on the masjid they go to and how they feel about the people at that masjid. It's haram for a masjid that has a designated imam to go in that masjid and lead the people in that masjid, lead the jama'ah in that masjid without the permission of the imam. Tayyib? Meaning what? A person walks in the masjid, that masjid has a designated imam. And I've seen this done before. They don't like the people there, whatever the case may be, they're not on it. I'm not praying behind them, but they go to their masjid to make wudu, use their bathroom, and then pray on their carpet and all of that. They go there for that, and they have a designated imam. Haram to go in there, and there's a jama'ah waiting just like this to pray, to go in there and lead those people in the salat. Haram. We know haram? Forbidden. It's a sin. And it deserves the punishment. Deserves the punishment of Allah. Haram to do that, except only time a person is able to do that. Remember, if there's a designated imam, only time a person is able to do that is in two cases. Either the imam gives the permission for something like that, or there's an excuse. The imam has an excuse. He's excused for being late, and there's no issue. Either in both scenarios, there will be no kickback, as we say, not from the imam or the administration. The imam's not going to, and this is important because without those two, it doesn't matter what masjid you go to. If the imam is there, right? Just think about the masjid. If the imam is there and he comes to lead the prayer, that means the imam was home, right? He got himself ready, just like everybody else getting ready for salat, but he has an obligation to lead the prayer. He gets there, and let's say the prayer is at, we pray at 6:30. They pray at 6:15, Isha. He gets there, the whole jama'ah is already in the second rak'ah, right? How do you think the imam feels? They change the time? That's the first question. They change the time? They ain't changed the time? Who's leading? Now the next question is, who's leading the salat? That's the next question. And it's similar to the same situation. It's similar as if, because the same rule applies when you go to somebody's house. Somebody comes in your house, you have a whole family and kids. They come in your house, it's time to pray. They don't even say anything to you. They don't say anything to you. They line everybody up in your crib. Say, yo, call it then. Call it a real quick. Call it a You come downstairs or out the kitchen from getting food for your guests, they praying without you. Now, that's no reason to get physical, brothers. That's no reason to get physical. That's no reason to get physical. Man, listen, Allah forgive us. Huh?
You seen that shit?
I haven't seen it, but it's not far-fetched. It's really not far-fetched for the way a lot of us think. A lot of us think that we have authority based on what we think we know, or who we think we know, or what the people think about me. So because I know more than you, if you invite me to your house for anything, I'm the designated Islamic authority in your house. A lot of people think like that. They think they have authority in somebody else's house, Islamically, right? Which is the problem. So that idea is the same. The house comes from the rule in the masjid. Sultan fi bayti. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's connected, but not exactly. Does the same apply when it comes to calling the Ikama?
The adhan and the iqama?
No, the Ikama, because you have people like, I'll give you an example. Let's say we all waiting, right? Like we did tonight, we waited for you, right? Okay, you had to go in the back and do whatever you had to do, right? And because, like, let's say you automatically pray at 6:30, right? All right, a brother tells him, because the brother calls him, yo, call the Ikama.
No.
You see what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
happens a lot too.
Sahih. I don't know why, brothers. Who do you think I don't know why would you, I don't know.
But it happens.
It does. I'm just trying to figure out why would you think you could just walk in somebody in the masjid, like, and tell somebody what to do? Especially for real, you don't even pray there like that. Because the places that you pray at all the time, you're not going to go there and do that. So now you're going to go somewhere where you don't even pray there like that. You don't even know the situation there, and you're going to point somebody out, and you looking around like everybody's like, like you the only one, like nobody in here is here to pray. You the only one that's here to pray. And now you want to put the pressure on the brothers that's sitting there, and sometimes they just skip over the brother. They'll just walk up to him and call it then.
Yeah, I seen it.
Allah forgive us.
You
Call it then, call it common, and led the salat. Allah musta'an. Allah forgive us, man. I mean, tayyib. So except if they have, he says yahram, and he used the words haram in this case. He says, وَمَنْ صَلَّى ثُمَّ أُقِيمَ فَرْضٌ sunnatan in. Oh, that's a mistake. Oh, okay, I got a mistake in my book. I'm sorry, I forgot to cross it out. طيب من صلى ثم أقيم فرضا سنة أن يعيدها إلا المغرب. A person is praying, or they prayed already. A person already prayed. They already made the salat. They prayed Isha, for example. They prayed Isha, and then, let me be clear first. Let me be clear. The adhan for Isha is at 5:50, 5:55. A brother comes in here, he prays, he looks around. Not assuming everybody's here, y'all. Nobody's here. Some days don't be nobody here till like 6:20, 6:25. So the brother gets here at 6:10. The adhan was at 5:55. He looks around, sees nobody, he prays Isha. So once he's done, he prayed Isha. Once he's done, people start showing up for Isha. We pray at 6:30. Min salla thumma uqima farad. When we come and we're going to pray Isha, and he's here. Everybody get it? Tayyib. He says, it's recommended that he repeats it again, pray Isha again, with the Jama'ah. Tayyib. He says, except for one prayer, which is Maghrib. Except for Maghrib. That second Isha is going to be what for him? Sunnah. Not to pray Maghrib, because Maghrib is Ad. And this would apply if it was Dhuhr or if it was Asr, right? Let's say Dhuhr, he prayed Dhuhr and the same thing happened. They come in and they pray. That he pray again. He prayed Dhuhr again with the Jama'ah. But not for Maghrib though. It's going to be a Sunnah for him. And there is no Ad Sunnah until after Isha. Until after Isha. The Ad Sunnah prayers, the Ad number Rakah for Sunnah come after Salat Isha. So he says if that's the case, then he should do that except for Isha. Except for Isha. Tayyib. He says, Rahimahullah, except for Maghrib. Because if he repeats Maghrib, that's going to be a Sunnah for him. Right? I said Isha? I'm sorry. No, what I mean is the Ad Sunnah prayer should be after Isha. So he might have prayed Maghrib already. It's not Isha yet. Right? They come in and do the same thing. Are y'all about to pray? So should he sit there or should he join in? He already prayed Maghrib. Should he pray Maghrib again? No. He shouldn't pray Maghrib again. That would be a Sunnah for him. And that's going to be an Ad Sunnah for him. And it's not time for the Ad Sunnahs yet. The time for the Ad Sunnahs are After Isha. Fadl.
So the person that comes in to Father Dan or to pray, but people sitting, let's just say it's like maybe one person or two people just sitting down waiting. Let's say that person does decide to lead. Does the people sitting down have to go up and pray with them?
The one that took a Brody?
Yeah.
If they know any better, they shouldn't.
So they can sit down.
Let him do he on his own. He on his own. If you know the ruling and the person comes in there, because there might be a group of brothers that go. I've seen a group of brothers do that. It's like 3 or 4 of them. They go in there, they line up. They don't care about no imam. They line up and they all pray and they pray on the mic and everything. If you know the rule, and a person might get up and pray with them who doesn't know. Knowing that they're not supposed to be doing that is haram. And it's the imam is probably coming. They don't care about that though. And if the imam is late, it's a masjid. They have, I'm sure there's something in place if the imam is not there. Not just random people walking in the masjid and just calling the adhan and the iqamah. And they have what they call imam ratib. He's a designated imam at the masjid. He's there for the 5 daily prayers. That's the imam ratib. He's there and he's designated, yes.
So the people that take that Brody, they gotta pray over?
To some, yes, the salat may not even be valid. In this case, the author didn't mention that. And the way it's worded, looking at it, and I'm gonna look at it real quick while you're asking the question. It's possible that something could be valid, ma'al ithm, with the sin. If it could be, something can be valid, but they still get a sin at the same time. Just looking at the wording, that's what it looks like, but I'm gonna look at it real quick while somebody had a question.
Yeah.
Fadl.
I was saying, doesn't it, didn't we discuss that like earlier in the class? I think it had something to do with traveling. When we saying like, okay, you're in a group of brothers traveling and something about making a decision, but you know that that's not permissible. Do you follow him in that or do you not follow him in that?
Right.
You discussed something.
Yes, we did speak about something like that. That you shouldn't follow a person in something that's haram, knowing it. The people might stand up and pray with them. They might not know the ruling on it. And you might be trying to tell them, and they might not be knowing what you're talking about. Everything's going so fast. You say, no, don't pray with them. Don't pray with them. What you mean don't pray with them? You ain't going to pray? You're like, no, you can't pray with me. It's haram. You're like, what? I'm praying, shit. I don't know. They might just pray with them. They don't know. But you know. So it's different. Tayyib. It says here, it says on this issue, it says the inhu ratib ka sahib al-bayt, because the imam in this case is like the person who's in the house. And the person whose house it is has most right to lead the prayer in their house. Based on the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, la yu'ammanna rajul fi baytihi illa bi idnihi. Do not lead a man in prayer in his own house except that he gives you permission to do so. He says this also leads to tanfir anhu. The people going to start, maybe they don't want to stop, they want to stop praying behind that imam. They don't want to pray behind him anymore. Right? It says, وَمَعَ الْإِذْنِ هُوَ النَّائِبْ عَنْهُ. But if the imam allows that, then the person is like a replacement for the imam, no problem. He says, قال في التنكيح وظاهر كلامهم لا تصح. He says this is another explanation of the issue. He says, in this book it says, what's apparent from the way he worded it is that the salat is not valid like that for the person who does that. It says, وَجَزْمَ عَنْهُ فِي الْمُنْتَهَى وَقَدْمَ فِي الرِّعَايَةِ تَصِحْ. So the ulama differ, because in another explanation it says it is valid. So the scholars differ if that prayer is valid or not. Either way, not supposed to be doing it. Haram. Right? Now, is it haram with a sin? Haram with a sin. Cool. Does it count? Or do I have to pray over? The ulama differ. But why would we do something where we're going to walk away from a situation not knowing if we really need to pray over or not? And the people who pray behind them, knowingly, y'all came in here together. Tayyib. He says after that, it is not disliked. وَلَا تُقْرَأ إِعَادَةُ جَمَاعَةِ إِعَادَةُ الْجَمَاعَةِ فِي غَيْرِ مَسْجِدَي مَكَّةَ وَالْمَدِينَةِ. He said it is not disliked to repeat the jama'ah repeat the Jama'ah again. It's not disliked to do that, except if you're at the Haram in Mecca or at the Haram in Medina. They say it's the only two places that you shouldn't repeat the Jama'ah again. It's not disliked to pray the Jama'ah twice, except in Mecca or Medina. Does everybody know what pray the Jama'ah twice means?
Like if I pray,
Like we just were talking about. You get there, you already prayed. For example, right? And then the salat is, as they say, now they get ready to pray, but you already prayed. Right? Or in one case, I'adatul Jama'ah could be I missed the Jama'ah and I show up and pray a second Jama'ah. We got there late, they already prayed Jama'ah behind the Imam of the Haram. Y'all gonna line up and pray another Jama'ah, right? But the wording or i'ada means, specifically i'ada means that I already prayed it. I'ada means you prayed it and then you're gonna pray it again, repeat it. I don't know how you translated it. That's what i'ada means. The issue of the second Jama'ah, if we were late or missed it, is not necessarily a repetition of the prayer. That's why it sounds like he's really talking about the same issue we were talking about. Allah Alam.
You know, a few years back, maybe about, it might have been 10 years, it might have been more than 10 years, might have been 15 years back. There was a big thing going around about praying the second Jama'ah.
Yes.
There was a big thing going around. You know, people would interrupt the second Jama'ah at different places.
I'm sorry, y'all.
Well, if you came to the masjid after the first Jama'ah, and there was a group of brothers, they would make them pray individually. They couldn't pray a Jama'ah. Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember that. I'm looking at it right now, y'all. It says the ma'na of i'adat al-jama'ah annahu idha salla al-imam al-ratib thumma hadara al-jama'ah. He says here it's not the issue we spoke about, the other issue. If the imam already led the salat at the haram, he said this is what it's meant here by i'adat al-jama'ah. Thumma hadara al-jama'ah. وعنه والمسجد الأقصى ومعنى إعادة الجماعة إذا صلى الإمام الراتب ثم حضر الجماعة.
It's in here too.
It's in there.
He said it's disliked.
طيب. Either way, that's the wording is important because you're gonna go someplace and at least we know when we see that happening, you know the ruling. So, because people pray the second Jama'ah in Medina, in the Haram in Medina, and Mecca, like you see people, it'd be groups, Umar groups, they come together, they already pray Maghrib, they traveling, they didn't pray Maghrib and Isha, they get there and they pray. Or they get there, they got there late and people pray together. If they do that, if we go with the call of the author, the statement of the author, then it's disliked in those two masjids, not in any other masjid. Any masjid outside of that. And if you notice, the books of fiqh don't mention any masjids by name. Except Mecca, Medina, and if they mention Masjid al-Aqsa. The best masjid is the masjid. It doesn't mention the name, doesn't mention the description. It's the masjid of the Muslims. The best masjid is the masjid of the Muslims, that there is no congregation unless you show up. The next best masjid to pray in for a Muslim is the masjid that has the largest jama'ah, the largest number of people praying at one time. After that, the next best masjid for the Muslim to pray in is the oldest masjid that you could find. No names attached, like we do. We attach a name to everything, which causes us to base our practice of deen on people and groups instead of knowledge.
that's kind of what I was getting to. Like, what if, like, both of the place with the most people and then the place that's the oldest, what if they, for lack of a better term, shout out? Like, what if it's a place that they kind of, it's like a lot of bid'ah going on in there. You walk in, you see something strange. Should I still pray there?
Are they Muslims? Oh man, either they Muslims or they not.
I mean, I don't know of the photos.
Are you sure they did those things?
Nah, I can't.
Or if you're not sure you did it, they Muslims.
I don't know what's in there.
طيب. If we're not sure, they Muslims. That's the asl. We can't put people in that category of not Allah and put them in that category without nothing clear. Asl is they Muslims, even if they on bid'ah. Number one, we need to be identified that that's a bid'ah, number one. Let's say we identify that's a bid'ah. Let's just say for argument's sake, and most people can't. Most people don't really know. It looks different. It's not what I'm used to doing. John look funny. I'm cool. That equals to a lot of us bid'ah, innovation. John's crazy, man. I ain't. Or, I'm just saying how we are. Shout out to us as bid'ah. Forget if the people don't know, they ignorant, they haven't been educated, they don't know what they're doing like that, none of that matters. So now, even if there was, the next issue is, what is the Islamic ruling on praying behind an innovator?
Say you know the way you're supposed to be facing. Say they facing a whole nother way.
Okay, that's a khata in the qibla. That's an ijtihadi issue from the shurut, the salat facing the qibla. That doesn't equal bid'ah. Misdirection in the qibla doesn't equal bid'ah.
So you can still pray the way they
No,
pray?
listen what I'm saying. Misdirection in the qibla, and the way we pray, doesn't equal innovation. Me and you could be together and we get out. We get out the car. You pull your phone out and your phone say this way, and I pull my phone out, my joint say that way. What are we supposed to do in that case? If he prays that way and I pray that way, you don't have to follow what my phone says. You might be like, man, my phone shout out. I know this phone is more dependable. All right, cool. And I don't think your phone, you know what I'm saying? You got one of them, what's the name? So now you pray your way, the direction you praying, and I pray the direction I'm praying. Now, since we did that, I turn around and say you're an innovator for not praying the way I prayed?
No, I wouldn't say that.
So the misdirection of the qibla is not an issue of we turn around and say innovators. You feel what I'm saying? So if that's the case, the issue wouldn't go to that. The issue would go to, is it permissible in Islam to pray behind an innovator? That would be the next step. And that's the first question, are they Muslims? Because some innovation, just because a person is an innovator, that don't mean they ain't Muslim. We could pray behind the Muslims, period. Right? Now, if they're an innovator, cool. Are they still Muslim or not? If they're not Muslims, then that means they're kuffar. We can't pray behind kuffar anyway, whether they call themselves Muslims or not. Everybody tayyib? Tayyib. So, he says, وَإِذَا أُقِيمَتِ الصَّلَاةِ فَلَا صَلَاةَ إِلَّا الْمَكْتُوبَةِ. If the iqamah is called, you should not start any prayers other than the obligatory prayer that it's time to pray. Meaning, they call the iqamah. You shouldn't stand up and start praying another prayer when they call the iqamah, after the iqamah is called. Everybody clear? You shouldn't stand up and start praying another prayer when the iqamah is called, except for the prayer that is, they're calling the iqamah for that prayer, the obligatory prayer. Tayyib?
No, so they translate there is no prayer.
Yes, sahih. It says, hold on, I'm sorry, I didn't see this. It says, it is impermissible to lead a prayer in a masjid before the imam who is paid leads the prayer unless he permits it or there is a valid excuse. MashaAllah. That was on 321.
We were going over it, but
Yeah.
not noticed yet.
But it explains
Yes.
it.
That's the Imam Ratib. He's the designated, what we know to be the designated Imam.
And he can appoint someone.
See it?
Huh?
He explained there's conditions behind that too. And he brought a narration.
We're not getting into that.
I know.
We're not going to get into that. Tayyib. Only because it's most important to understand the author, because the shada, the person explaining the book, he could go against the call of the author. You see what I'm saying? And if he goes against and he has all right to do that. He's a scholar. But if he goes against the call of the statement of the author, I might leave my reading thinking what the explainer said is the author's statement. You don't want to mix the two. So it's better to go through the author's statement first, and then you go back, and then you compare between what the explainer is saying. طيب. He says, فَإِنْ كَانَ فِي النَّافِلَةِ أَتَمَّهَا. But if a person is already praying a voluntary prayer, and then while they're praying a voluntary prayer, they call the iqamah. That's different. That's not the same as the person who's not praying anything. The iqama is called, and then they stand up and say Allahu Akbar and start praying something else. Everybody clear? The second person, he's already praying or she's already praying the voluntary prayer. And then the iqama is prayer. He said the iqama is called. If that's the case, he says, فَإِنْ كَانَ فِي النَّافِلَةِ أَتَمَّهَا. Complete the voluntary prayer that you were praying, except don't complete it إِلَّا أَنْ يَخْشَى فَوَاتِ الْجَمَاعَةِ فَيَقْطَعَهَا. Except if you fear, if you think, if I keep praying this, I'm going to miss the jama'ah. If I keep praying this voluntary prayer, I'm going to miss the jama'ah. If a person is praying that and they think that, then they should end that voluntary prayer and join the obligatory prayer. That makes sense? For them.
You saying voluntary?
Yeah, voluntary. A sunnah prayer. A person, sometimes people come in, they be praying, they can pray 2 rak'ahs for fajr. Why they praying 2 rak'ahs for fajr? The adhan is called. I'm sorry, the iqama is called. What should they do?
Continue praying. Finish it.
Finish what?
Unless
Finish.
they think they
Finish the 2 sunnah prayers, the 2 sunnah for fajr, except if they think they're going to miss the jama'ah. Then they end the 2 sunnahs for fajr and join the jama'ah. For them.
Can you explain what's missing the Jama'ah?
We're going to get there. We're about to do that now. Tayyib. Now the question might be, well, how do you, and this goes back to you assuming, right? Or you might know, sometimes you might know. You might know a person, they pray pretty fast. And I just started my 2 sunnahs. And I know, for example, that person leading the salat, they recite al-Fatiha fast. And sometimes they don't even read a surah after al-Fatiha. They might not even read a surah after al-Fatiha. I know a person, they don't read surahs after al-Fatiha. Shade. If they didn't read a surah after al-Fatiha, then what did they do? They missed the sunnah. I'm not saying this, I'm just saying.
No, I'm just saying,
You never know. I pray behind people in masjids and they read out Fatiha and that was, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying, if they were to do that, and the person praying behind praying the sunnahs, I know that's what he might do. There's a very high possibility he might do that. And then once we start praying, you can hear them praying, especially if they're praying out loud, or if you can see them, then you're going to end that sunnah prayer and join the jama'ah. Tayyib. Next he says, وَمَنْ كَبَّرَ قَبْلَ سَلَامِ إِمَامِهِ لَحِقَ الْجَمَاعَةِ. This is how we know if we say, did you catch the jama'ah? Did you catch or did you catch the congregation? Catch it means what though to us?
before you stand up from ruku.
No, that's individual.
Huh?
That's an individual.
It means that you had, well, I'm saying it means that you have to takbir and enter into the salat before the taslim.
Let me rephrase the question. Catch the jama'ah equals what?
Saying the takbir before, making your intention and saying the takbir, joining the jama'ah before the taslim. That's what he said.
I know. You said the same thing he said.
You ain't.
I got to reword it. Let me reword it. Let me reword it. If I catching the jama'ah, what does that benefit me?
27 times.
27 or 25? Everybody clear?
Right.
27 or 25 if you catch the jama'ah. That's what it equals to. Everybody clear? People will come to the masjid, wherever they are. They in the masjid. They get there late. They're in the tashahhud. And they'll stand back and watch the jama'ah salam out. I've seen people do it all the time.
I seen somebody do it today.
Yeah, they stand back. They could have joined the jama'ah. They stand back, fixing their clothes. They could have got in. They had plenty of time to get in the jama'ah. 25 times better or 27 times better, right? At the least 25 times better than praying by themselves. Let the jama'ah salam out and then go over there and pray by themselves.
But even if it wasn't 25 times better, that tashahhud could be the one to get you to Jannah.
Hey, man, you never know. You never know what you're going to need Yom Kippur. 27 times better than praying alone. That's going to high end. I need all that. Who doesn't need that? Like, why you stand back? Now, some people, I don't know. I'm just saying what people do. I don't know why, but some people might come, and it's a group of them. All of them can do what? Join the imam that's praying. But they'll stand back together, wait. When the imam salams out, somebody will call the iqamah, then they'll pray another jama'ah. When they could have just joined.
They kind of cancels each other out, though, right?
What?
Because they're still going to get 25 to 27. No?
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Intentionally
Yes, that's what
missing the jama'ah with the imam. I mean, I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying. Allah Alam.
they went over some of that in the explanation. It's just for that you may not like the imam, so you
Yeah, like people might not like the imam. I don't like him. Like I don't like for real. I don't even like. May Allah forgive us. This is a masjid. I don't even like this masjid. I don't even really want to. I don't even, as some people say, I don't even like praying in there. But you keep going. I don't even like praying in there. House of Allah. They don't like the imam, so they might show up late intentionally. They might not pray behind the imam intentionally. And they might have a group of people with them, so I can still pray the jama'ah, which leads to other problems.
Yeah.
For them.
So that applies to even if you don't catch one raka'ah of the jama'ah, it still count as a jama'ah?
I'm glad you said that. You ready? You gotta separate the issues. Whoever, man kabbara qabla salam imami, whoever says Allahu Akbar to start my prayer. I'm late. They sitting down, doing the tashahhud, they about to salam out. Whoever says Allahu Akbar before the imam salams out, says Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, he says lahiq al jama'ah. They are a part of that congregation. They still late. They still missed however many rak'ahs that salat was. They still have to make it up. But what they did get was the 25 reward for playing with the jama'ah. Everybody clear? We ain't talking about no rak'ahs and that. We just talking about, am I part of this jama'ah or no? If I say Allahu Akbar, and then the imam says Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Then I just got to make up. I have to make up what I miss. Clear? Sheikh, you had a question?
No, I was saying that, no, that was weird.
What?
Because he came in the masjid, I was sitting in the back, I was reading, came in the masjid. I said, they praying through it. Right? I said, they praying through it. He just like, he said, okay. He walked up, he stood behind, and he just stayed there. They were in Qiyam, and he stayed there. And they did a whole rakat. And then when he came up, then he takbir. It was two brothers, and he was behind them, and he takbir and joined the last rakat.
But he joined the jama'ah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah, but
No. I'm with you. No.
he didn't stay in with them. He stood behind them, but he still caught it.
He caught the jama'ah though. What he didn't catch is the next issue, and that's that could be for numerous reasons. It could be for numerous reasons why a person does something like that. But at bare minimum, that example, an example like that, bare minimum, he caught the jama'ah, right? طيب. He says, وَإِنْ لَحِقَهُ رَاكِعًا دَخَلَ مَعَهُ فِي الرَّكَعَةِ. If he says Allahu Akbar in the Eid, they're already praying, not before they salam out. They join the salat, and these are rules connected to being late to the salat. You join the salat and the imam is in the ruku. He's already in ruku. The imam is in ruku'. He says Allahu Akbar. And if he gets into ruku' with the imam, then he caught that rak'ah. If he makes ruku' with the imam, then he caught that rak'ah. Everybody clear? This is important. If the imam is coming out of ruku', you didn't catch the rak'ah. You should be sure when you join the salat that the imam is in the ruku'. Not the imam he's coming from a ruku' and it's your salat. Just because you go down fast don't mean you just because you try to move fast don't mean you caught that rak'ah. You was moving fast The imam was already coming up. And why are you going to gamble like that? Just make the rak'ah. Father.
You remember that picture I showed you where, like, if the imam is in ruku and you join the prayer, you say Allahu Akbar, and then I think you say it again when you're in ruku.
Oh, yes.
Like, how does that apply?
I don't know the picture you're talking about. But,
You say it twice before.
oh, saying the takbir twice?
Yeah, like if the imam is in the ruku.
But they say in this case, the number one, and this is important, when you join the salat late and the imam is in ruku' and you're trying to catch the rak'ah. Now, this is the first thing. Why am I trying to catch the rak'ah? So I don't have to make it up. So when everybody finishes, I can finish with everybody else. If I miss the rak'ah, when everybody finishes, I'm going to have to stand up. And if it's one, I'm going to have to make up one rak'ah. If I miss that one, I might have to make up two. I might have to make up three. I might have to make up four. But let's just say in ruku'. So I'm trying, and there's a bunch of stuff leading up to this. Shouldn't be running to the salat, trying to catch the rak'ah. You shouldn't be, because when you run, you're going to make a bunch of noise. You're disturbing everybody. You're shuffling. Now the imam is thinking about, like, it's a bunch going on. All of that is a disturbance to people's concentration in the salat anyway. Plus the hadith says, walk with a state of tranquility. Be calm and walk to the salat. Whatever you catch, you catch. Whatever you miss, you miss. If that was the case, you should have got there earlier. I couldn't. Alhamdulillah. Islam is alhamdulillah. Just make up what you miss. No need to come in, you shuffling, you taking your jacket off, you moving all this stuff around. Everybody hears you. You drawing for real, but we praying. You're trying to do the right thing now. Breathing hard, now you, tell you, a person gets there, and the first thing the takbir is Allahu Akbar. That's to start the prayer. That's not to go in ruku' with them. The intention should be, I'm saying Allahu Akbar to start whatever salat it is. I'm saying Allahu Akbar to start my Isha. I'm not saying the Allahu Akbar before you go into ruku'. Everybody clear? It's a takbirah. After we say Allahu Akbar, read al-Fatiha, read the surah, then we say Allahu Akbar and go into ruku'. Right? So when I come late, they're already in ruku'. I'm saying the first takbirah to start my prayer. That's what I'm doing. Allahu Akbar. Now, I can do one or two things. I can say Allahu Akbar and go straight into ruku'. Or I can say Allahu Akbar, which is my first one to start the prayer, and then I say Allahu Akbar for the ruku'. Everybody clear? Tayyib? Tayyib. If a person does that and they're with the imam in the ruku', then they caught the rak'ah. They don't have to make that rak'ah. But if they didn't catch the imam in ruku', you say Allahu Akbar, you going down and he coming up, you can see him, right? You going down and the imam's coming up, you missed it. It has nothing to do with the people next to you. If people saw you, it's yours. That's your prayer. He's coming up, you missed the rak'ah. You got to make the rak'ah. Tayyib. He says next, so if a person joined the salat and the imam was in ruku', then he caught that rak'ah. He says next, what ajza'athu at-tahrima. And it's enough in that case if he just does the opening takbirah, the one takbir, Allahu Akbar, and then he goes into ruku'. That's enough. How do you translate that?
It's
It's sufficient?
sufficient. It's suffice.
It's sufficient for him, yeah. Meaning he doesn't have to do the two. He doesn't have to go Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. He can. But we come in together, it's two of us, or it's three of us, or let's just say it's two of us. I say Allahu Akbar and go straight into the ruku'. You say Allah, I'm not trying to, hold on, let me say this, hold on. I'm not trying to say, I'm just giving this as an example, y'all. I don't want y'all to be saying, what I'm saying is this. It's possible we both come into the salat late. We line up. I do one takbirah. I say Allahu Akbar and I go into the ruku'. I catch the ruku'. I'm with the imam in ruku'. You came in with me, but you do two takbirahs. You say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, and you don't catch the ruku'. You might miss it. The imam might be coming up by the time you did your second one. Everybody clear? I don't have to make up that rak'ah, but you do. Don't say we came in together, we prayed the same. La, we didn't. You missed the rak'ah. How I missed the rak'ah? The imam was coming up and shit. No, he was, listen, that's you, that ain't me. I made it. You see what I'm saying? We came in together, but it's not the same. Everybody clear? So it's possible we come to the masjid together, we in the car together, we made wudu together, we walked up to the line together, we both said Allahu Akbar together, but this person that you came with, they did 2 takbiras in this case, and you only did 1. So I might catch the rak'ah, I might catch the imam al-ruku', and the other person, since they did the 2, that took a little extra time, right? And they missed the rak'ah. It's no big deal, but we just need to understand the 2 prayers are different. It's 2 different scenarios. I would not have to make that rak'ah, when this person, they would have to make it up. Tayyib. He says, وَلَا قِرَاءَةَ عَلَى مَأْمُومٍ. And he says, the person following the imam does not have to recite. He says there is no recitation for the ma'mum. The people following the imam, they do not have to recite. Recite what? Al-Fatiha. But what about Al-Fatiha being a pillar of the prayer? The imam's Al-Fatiha is the pillar of the whole jama'ah. That's what that means. Who? No, not in this case, no. The imam's Al-Fatiha is everybody's Al-Fatiha. That's what that means. There's no recitation for the people following the imam. Everybody clear?
It's only out loud.
There's no recitation for the people following the imam.
Oh, so even on the quiet?
Even on the quiet. Yeah, that's the opinion of the author, yes. We ain't get there yet. See, you. Listen, I know we all know the opinion that you have to say something in the salat. You have to move your lips. I know everybody knows that one. That's why we doing this one. That's why we talk about this one like this intentionally, so that we know it's another opinion who says you don't have to say anything. The imam is leading the salat. I don't have to say anything. And that's the opinion that the author is saying. There is no qira'ah for the people following the imam. But what about the Al-Fatiha? I thought Al-Fatiha was from the pillars of the salat. It is from the pillars of the salat. And the imam is leading the salat. And he covered the pillar for all of us. That's what that means. The other opinion is no, that every individual person has to recite it. So the scholars differ in that issue right there. So some people may follow the opinion that the imam, you don't have to recite behind the imam. The imam covered down for the whole jama'ah.
Which one is strongest?
Allah Alam. I don't know which one is strongest, but when you get into reciting behind the imam, the next issue is going to be when. Because Allah said if the Quran is being recited, be quiet. How you reciting and the imam reciting? You going against the verse. Some brothers be loud sometimes. Why the imam recite? Or the imam recite a verse and then a brother recite a verse. The imam, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen. Right? So now the next issue is going to be when to recite if you're going to, and we're not going to go into there, because the author said there is no recitation behind the imam. Tayyib. It says, Tayyib. And we're going to stop, I think, with these 2, because we're not going to do those. That's a whole. Tayyib. He says now, all right, let me ask you this first. What does it mean there is no qira'ah, there is no recitation for the people following the imam? Meaning what?
No need for you to recite.
Good. It's no need. They have no need to recite. Meaning if there's no need, then it's not obligatory for them to recite behind the imam on this opinion. I'm not trying to shake nobody. Do what you comfortable doing. I'm just saying this is ilm. Tayyib. Tayyib. He says in the next line, it's recommended. Yustahab is recommended to do what? Fi israri imamihi. These are the times it's recommended for the people following the imam to recite. Remember, the people following the imam don't have to recite anyway. There are some times it's recommended to recite. What are they? Number one, fi israr imami. If the imam is reading in a silent prayer, clear? Then it's recommended to recite. Then that means you're going to be silent, but as we say, just like the imam is moving his lips and saying something, the people praying behind him do the same thing. Recommended, right? Number two, fi sukutihi. When the imam is silent, when would the imam be silent? Between verses. Tayyib. When else would the imam be silent? No, the whole prayer is silent. If that's the case, we already reading because of Dua Asa. Before he starts the next surah. When is that? Like after the Ameen and before he starts the next surah. Everybody get it? You with me, Sheikh?
I'm with you.
It's Tayyib. He says recommended when? Well, now, some imams that know this, the imams that understand this, when they recite Al-Fatiha, they're going to pause. Ameen. The people behind him are reciting Al-Fatiha. And then he'll recite the next surah. We probably thought he forgot.
Or was thinking what he's going to recite.
We think he forgot. We think he trying to figure out what he's going to recite. And he may be giving the people behind him time to recite. Tayyib. That was the second place, when the imam is silent. The third place, he says, وَإِذَا لَمْ يَسْمَعْهُ لِبُعْدٍ. If he's so far away, he can't hear what the imam is saying anyway. So let's say we at the Eid, and the microphone goes out. The people close to the imam are going to be able to hear the recitation. The brothers in the back and the sisters, they're not going to hear it. Right? If they're far away and can't hear, he said, and it's recommended. They could be back there not saying anything also, remember, right? Right? Why? Because they ma'moom, they following the imam and he carries all of the recitation. Or they could recite. It's recommended to recite. They can't hear due to the distance, them being far away from the imam, they can't hear. He says this doesn't include reciting because you can't hear the imam. He says doesn't include if a person is deaf. If a person is deaf, this is not we're not talking about. This issue doesn't apply to them. That's a separate issue. This issue, oh man, this issue is only connected to distance. Those are the three times. When the imam is silent. In the silent times, when the imam is reciting in the silent time, Dhuhr and Asr. When the imam is silent in those loud prayers, after the Ameen, before he recites the next surah, maybe if he's reciting slow between verses, or if a person is far away and they can't hear the imam. And the last thing he says is also recommended, even though the imam recites out loud for Maghrib and Isha and Fajr, and this is all according to, we don't have to recite praying behind the imam according to this, right? He says it's still recommended to do the dua, the opening dua for the salat, dua istiftah, and a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. All of this is still recommended, he says, fi ma yajharu fihi imamuhu. In those salats when the imam is leading the salat and it's out loud. Tayyib, we'll stop there inshallah because the next part is a little it's quite detailed. Inshallah. Tayyib, we can stop there unless there's any questions. Fadda.
The part about if you think you're gonna miss the congregational prayer, you can stop. Is there anything you supposed to do when you stop? Because I done seen people like standing up and do taslim while they standing up, and then line up to pray. Is that a thing?
How to stop the prayer? You mean how to stop the prayer? If I'm praying a voluntary prayer and then they call the Iqamah, how do I stop my voluntary prayer?
And then I hear the Iqamah and I think I'm gonna miss it.
Bare minimum, what breaks the prayer?
Taslim to the right.
Even barer than that.
Move.
Stop.
Well, moving one more than 3 steps. Break your wudu.
The intention. The intention, yaqta. The intention, taqta salat. If your intention is to end the prayer is done. That's bare minimum. If a person salammed out, that's the end of the prayer too. But a person might just walk off. That's going to break the prayer. It's a bunch of things. If I'm praying, it's a bunch of things that could break my prayer. My intention, turn away from the qibla. I could just start talking to somebody. It's a bunch of things that could break the prayer. If a person wants to salam out, they can salam out. You see what I'm saying? Clear? I don't know why brothers do this. I don't know about the sisters. And I don't even know if it's after the salat, right? Brothers who come late to the salat. And they have to make up rak'ahs. Because we was talking about this, I think, last week. The brother is stand up he'll be in the rank with everybody. And then when everybody salams out and he has to stand up and make up his rak'ahs, he'll like totally walk off all the way to the other side of the masjid. Step forward, like grab it's like he's starting over the prayer, but he's not really starting over the prayer. Not sure why brothers do that. I don't know if anybody, maybe somebody, this might be a hadith or something, I don't know. That's why I'm asking, because a lot of people do that. And sometimes they turn away from the qibla. They'll just like walk off like that way. They might walk backwards. I've seen brothers here walk backwards. They'll walk sideways. They're not still facing the qibla, like sideways, like not like that, but you know, scaling like sideways like this. Yeah, they'll turn like this way, away from the qibla, walk over here, might grab a bucket or something as a sutra and all of that. I don't know.
In the same salat.
In the same salat, they don't start over, unless they starting over.
You know, Sheikh.
I'm sorry, Sheikh, before you go. And if that's the case, because maybe they are starting over. But if you join the jama'ah and you court the jama'ah, even though you got to make up 4 rak'ah or 3 rak'ah, you court the jama'ah. Why would you end that and start over and then pray by yourself and lose the 25 or 27?
Some people just don't know.
Or maybe they just don't know. Maybe they just
And maybe you could, because you were around at this time too. You were back home at this time too, Sheikh.
Uh-huh.
But when Sheikh Al-Albani's book came out, Pray the Way You See Me Pray.
Yes.
When his book came out, that's when I started noticing a lot of those types of things happening. Like if a brother had to make up the salat, they get up and then they take 2 steps forward or 2 steps to the side or 2 steps backwards. Or they wouldn't pray a second jama'ah. If 3 of them came in, instead of praying, if they missed the jama'ah, then they would pray individually.
Oh, they might. Well, if they miss the jama'ah, they might be under the opinion not to pray the second jama'ah.
Nah.
But if they pray with the first jama'ah and then separate themselves at the end, like physically.
After the taslim, after the imam salammed out, then they would separate.
Oh, maybe it might be something in there. Maybe it's a hadith in there. Sheikh might.
He just pulled it
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. You might want to pull it up. It might be a hadith in there, maybe, that says you're supposed to separate yourself. That's why I'm asking, because a lot of people do it. I don't.
Well, I mean, isn't that something that actually breaks the salat when you move it like that? Take so many
It depends on the movement.
Yeah.
Not all the time. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes they turn away from the qibla and they walk over to the wall, and maybe they might be starting all over.
Right.
But if I'm gonna say, if you're starting over, why would you start over and you court the jama'ah? But maybe they don't know to court the jama'ah.
Well, I know back then when you talk about years ago, back when Abu Sama was the imam of Germantown, in class he brought that issue up. And I don't know, you gotta ask him, but he said there's nothing from the Sunnah, pertaining to any of the companions doing that, meaning
Doing what?
standing up. I'm talking about specifically stepping forward,
Oh.
stepping away from the people.
Stepping away from the congregation
Yeah,
that you
stepping
just prayed in.
forward or stepping backwards, or moving some steps up.
Okay.
Some people would even grab a chair.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. It'd be a lot of movement going on.
Some people would even grab a chair.
Now maybe,
But I'm saying he addressed that issue in the class.
so somebody already spoke about it. Yeah, because I just happen to turn around and sometimes brothers be doing a lot of movement. I don't know. Maybe it's a hadith. It could be a hadith. You know what I mean? Sometimes people read a hadith and then they just, we trying to do what's in the hadith. So I don't know. I was asking maybe it's a hadith on that. Allah alam. Tayyib, we can stop there, inshallah. The next issue is, and this is an important issue, especially for the brothers, because the brothers could see the imam, and the brothers is no reason for a brother who can see the imam to be moving before the imam. There's no reason. What's the reason unless I'm just not paying attention? You getting to the position before the imam is not good. It's not like that's more righteous. That's not more, you're not more on your deen because you got to the next position before the imam. That can't be, you can't be on your deen more by doing that. I'm serious. You feel me? You can't be on your deen more by doing that, because being on your deen more is following what the Prophet ﷺ said. And the Prophet ﷺ said that the imam is there to be followed. You're not following, so you're not on deen more. There's no way you can be on deen more doing that.
Isn't that called racing the imam?
Yeah, it's called proceeding, going before the imam, and it's a whole, that's too much to get into tonight. So we'll leave that, inshallah.
Isn't that also
Inshallah.
going along with him?
Not going along with him is not going before him. Going along with him is not going before him. But you don't want to, either way, you don't even want to gamble. The imam is to be followed, not to be with, not to go before. It's no rush. You put yourself in a situation where you could possibly invalidate your prayer. Everybody trying to do the right thing. Why put ourselves in situations where we're going to invalidate the right thing that we're trying to do?
So what do they recommend a person to do, right? 'Cause I've seen this happen before, right? When the imam didn't say Allahu Akbar, but he on his way down, and brothers would be like on their way down behind him before he say Allahu Akbar. Should they wait for Allahu Akbar, or should they just? Is it cool for them to move as long as they moving behind him?
As long as they're moving behind the imam. Most important thing is they don't go before the imam. Now the imam, when he's going to say the takbir to the intiqal, the Allahu Akbar from one position from another, that could vary. That could vary. So it's on the men, you standing there, you watching the imam, it's on you not to go before the imam. Now, what is it going to hurt us if the imam is fully down and we haven't moved yet? We're not going before him. As long as we're not so far back that by the time we go down, he done moved to we can't drag too far behind. But we, at the same time, we don't want to go, there's no reason to be going before the imam. Or even tying up, like we're not.
Some people be anticipating.
Why?
Well, I'm gonna wait till next week. So actually, but building what the brother said, do you move off of his seeing him or hearing him?
See.
Thank you.
The imam could do it. He could say that. How do you know this? The people who are in the 6th row or the 7th row, the brothers.
Right.
It's brothers in front of you that have not gone down yet. Why do you think that is?
Because they can see the imam.
They're looking at the imam. The imam. Why do you think the brothers in front of you? You think they just everybody? You 6 rows back. You think everybody is just standing there for nothing? You see what I'm saying? Apparently, it's not time to move yet.
Right.
It's a sequence. If it was time to move, the people right behind the imam would have moved by now. Apparently, it's not time to move. But the brother that's 6 or 7 rows back, I'm going to move now because I'm fine. You don't even know if the imam, where he is yet. Because some people say the takbir, they say Allahu Akbar, and they still, as far as we say, they're not really low yet as far as going down. And then that's why you got to look, because we used to hear Allahu Akbar and we shoot down, some of us, before the imam. So it's better looking at him, and you the last one.
Following the imam, do we, like in everything they do, or is
We not, no. We gonna wait for that, man. That's a setup. We gotta wait. We gotta